Jameson Taillon is on the move. Let's get into where he's going. What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast on the Laracuente Ledger Network. And as I said in the open, Jameson Taillon is on the move and he's headed to the New York Yankees. Now, as we get into this video, we're going to go over the deal itself as well as my thoughts on the state of the 2021 New York Yankees at present moment. So, let's get into it. Now, when it comes to the deal itself, Jameson Taillon was traded by the Pittsburgh Pirates to the New York Yankees for 4 minor league prospects. So the 4 prospects that were heading back to Pittsburgh were 2 right-handed pitchers, an infielder, and an outfielder. Now, in my opinion, this deal was an absolute steal for the New York Yankees. The top rated prospect in terms of their farm system in this deal was the 15th best, and that was Miguel Yajure, who made his major league debut in the shortened 2020 campaign. So for the New York Yankees to give up, honestly, such few assets in terms of number of prospects and the level of prospect, to me was an absolute steal for the New York Yankees. Yes, Jameson Taillon is coming off of a battle with testicular cancer, but by all accounts he is healthy and ready to go for the 2021 campaign. So this is a very, very good move in my opinion for the New York Yankees. I think that it is a move that really helps them solidify their rotation, and we're going to get into that more in a moment. But in my earlier videos this offseason, when I had my Yankee wish list, to-do list, I said that the Yankees would really need 2 starting pitchers. They would have to add 2 pitchers, whether that was bringing back 2 of the 3 free agent pitchers they would lose, or bringing in 2 completely different pitchers, whether it be by trade or by free agent signing. I said the Yankees needed 2, and that's exactly what they got thus far in the offseason. Now, as we get into the state of the New York Yankees, I want to take a moment to let you know we have an accompanying and corresponding article over on LaracuenteLedger.com. I will leave links to that article down in the show notes below, but make sure you head over to LaracuenteLedger.com and check out all the articles that we have there, but most specifically about this one here, as we do get into each and every topic on the state of the 2021 New York Yankees. Now, we just covered Jameson Taillon and why it's so significant as far as the deal that was made and the Yankees really getting a steal here. In my opinion, when it comes to Taillon and adding him in with Corey Kluber, I think that we have to lump these 2 moves together because they're very significant for what the New York Yankees needed this offseason. And that was to really solidify and certify the rotation behind Gerrit Cole. When you look at what both Taillon and Kluber can provide the New York Yankees, it's a very high threshold for reward, with very low risk in my opinion. The 4 prospects that the Yankees traded to Pittsburgh, honestly, none of them are really going to stand out to me in my opinion as huge losses. Whether that changes my mind a few years down the road, we'll have to wait and see. But at this moment, none of the 4 prospects really stand out as a huge loss for the New York Yankees in comparison to what they are potentially receiving with Jameson Taillon. Now, when it comes to Corey Kluber, it's a 1-year deal. And even though it is worth $11 million, to me, that's a very much steal for a guy who is a former 2-time AL Cy Young Award winner. Now, no, Corey Kluber is not the pitcher that he once was, but he's still a pitcher that is capable of bringing it every 5 days for the New York Yankees. And even though injuries have taken their toll over the last couple of seasons, I do believe that in New York, it's going to be a lot less stress for him, physically speaking. I think the Yankees have enough depth, especially in that bullpen, to be able to sustain and kind of help Corey Kluber stay healthy throughout the season. Now, the rotation for the New York Yankees begins with Gerrit Cole. There's no doubt about it. The $324 million ace of the New York Yankees headlines this rotation. But now when you pair him with Corey Kluber and Jameson Taillon, you now give them that depth that they were lacking going into the offseason. Like I said, there were 2 starters that were needed for the New York Yankees. There was no doubt about it in my mind that that is something that they had to walk away with this offseason, and that's exactly what they've done to this point. Now, whether or not they're finished is another question entirely, and we're going to have to wait to see how everything plays out between now and spring training and even the start of the regular season. We know the Yankees do tend to make some last-minute moves at the end of spring training, so we'll have to see how much more the New York Yankees do before the regular season begins. Now, let's be very clear. As of right now, as of this recording, for all intents and purposes, the Major League Baseball season will be 162 games, regular full season. So we have to function under that interpretation, under that understanding. So needing to bring in guys was what the Yankees had to do to really help themselves going into that season. They were not going to be able to function and sustain themselves with just the young minor league arms that they had in the system. Guys like Michael King, Clark Schmidt, Devi Garcia even, Jordan Montgomery, Domingo Germán coming back. All of these guys are now going to be competing for one spot as opposed to having to fill 4 spots in that rotation. So bringing in Corey Kluber and James Taillon are huge moves for the New York Yankees. Now, that's not the only thing the Yankees would do. We knew going into the offseason their biggest number one prime target was re-signing DJ LeMahieu. Now, most often when the Yankees make their intentions this abundantly and blatantly clear, they get their player. They get their guy, and that's exactly what happened with DJ LeMahieu. Now, towards the end of the time frame before he signed, we started to hear rumblings and rumors of other teams getting involved, like the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, even the Mets. But we knew that the Yankees were going to make it happen. And in my opinion, DJ LeMahieu really put the team first with this deal. We covered both the deal for DJ LeMahieu, we covered the deal for Corey Kluber, but I think when you look at the 6 years, $90 million deal that lowers the AAV to $15 million a year, to me that is a huge asset and a huge understanding by DJ in the fact of he wants to win. That to me is the biggest thing. Having that 6 years lowers the AAV, and while it may seem like a long-term situation that the Yankees may regret at the tail end of it, I said in that video that I do believe that DJ is going to be good for at least 4 years of this deal, and very easily could be good for all 6 based on his talent and his skill level. You also have the ability, because of how talented he is, to play him at third base or first base on top of playing second base. So that versatility is really going to allow the Yankees, even in the tail end of this deal, to get the most out of DJ LeMahieu. And being the kind of contact first hitter that he is, he's always going to give you a good approach at the plate each and every single time. So when you have him early on in games, leading off even, you have a guy who's going to work at bats and give the rest of the team the opportunity to see what the pitcher is featuring that day. The fact that he would have this deal go 6 years to have an AAV of $15 million a year really helps the Yankees and allows them to do more, as we've seen with the signings of Corey Kluber and the trade for Jameson Taillon. Now, as we move into the offense for the New York Yankees, again, DJ is a huge asset because he's a different kind of player, a different look to what the Yankees are currently featuring, with players like Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Luke Voit, and even Gary Sanchez when he's going well, and more on Sanchez in a moment. But when you look at what this offense can do, the power that this offense brings is scary for most teams, and that's why they try to load up and really bring in a ton of hard throwers to try to offset the power of the New York Yankee lineup. That's where, to me, again, DJ LeMahieu is so key for the New York Yankees because he's a different kind of hitter. When you look at the at-bat in the 2020 postseason against the Cleveland Indians, DJ is what saved the Yankees and pushed them forward to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. To me, this player is so valuable for the New York Yankees, even more so than guys like Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, or even Gleyber Torres when they're all going well, because he's a different type of player. Now, getting into Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, these guys are capable of doing some amazing things, but the biggest problem with them is health. There's no doubt about it. Everyone knows it. Health is the biggest question and key and the most critical and important factor for the New York Yankees heading into 2021. When you look at what this team has, what they're capable of, health is their biggest adversary. It's not the Red Sox, it's not the Dodgers, it's not the Rays, it's health. If the Yankees can remain healthy for the 2021 campaign, they are, no doubt about it in my mind, top tier favorites for winning the World Series. And in my opinion, they have the easiest chance to win the World Series. Again, that's a biased opinion. I understand that. There's a lot of legitimate and serious contenders for that crown. But if the Yankees can remain healthy, we're going to see a 50 home run campaign out of Aaron Judge, a 50 home run campaign out of Giancarlo Stanton. If we can get Gary Sanchez right, that's a 40 home run campaign right there. Luke Voit, 40 to 45, 50 home runs even out of Luke Voit. And then you add in what the rest of the team can do, and you can see the kind of damage they can put on. Just look back to the 2019 season when they were competing with the Minnesota Twins for the top home run record for a team in a single season. There's no doubt about it. This team has that potential and that capability. Add in a guy like Clint Frazier, who to me is one of the most underrated players because he hasn't been given an opportunity. We started to see an opportunity in the 2020 shortened season, and we saw how good he was and how much progress he made on both the offensive and defensive side. So to me, the Yankees have the opportunity and the potential to be able to be a legitimate threat for the winning of the World Series. But health is their biggest factor. Now, I mentioned Gary Sanchez a moment ago, so let's get into it. When it comes to Gary Sanchez, we have an article up on LaracuenteLedger.com. I will leave links to that down in the show notes below. But the problem is we have to fix Gary Sanchez. The Yankees are going into the 2021 campaign with Gary Sanchez as their primary catcher. They've made it very clear that they're sticking with Gary Sanchez at least for the beginning of the season. Now, with Gary, we know that he was going through this positional transformation in 2020 with the one knee down stance that he was working with catching instructor Tanner Swanson. Whether or not the Yankees continue to use that stance with Gary Sanchez going forward, we'll have to wait and see. Whether or not Gary Sanchez becomes more comfortable because now he has a year under his belt of trying and practicing and using this stance in game situations, we'll have to wait and see. But there's no doubt about it, when you look at what Gary Sanchez is capable of when he's going well, he can carry this team on his back. His bat is that potent and that powerful. To me, he reminds me a lot of Manny Ramirez in terms of two factors. One, his defense will always be a question mark, and no matter how much he tries to get better, it's not going to be great. And it's going to be something that his offense will have to keep him on the field and in that spot. And the second thing about Gary that reminds me of Manny is that there's always going to be that just looming potential threat of a monster and mammoth home run. And if he runs into one, that's why they keep him in the lineup, despite all the defensive headaches and failures. To me, if Gary Sanchez can get back to the form that we saw when he first made his major league debut back in 2016, and that kind of lightning just presence in the lineup, that dangerous threat each and every time up he came to bat, that's going to be something that the Yankees are trying to just get. They're trying to find that one more time. If they can find that, if Gary Sanchez can find that, he's no doubt about it going to be amongst the best players on this team and in the league. But he has a very, very short leash, in my opinion, before the New York Yankees go looking elsewhere. Now, we know JT Realmuto is still on the free agent market. I don't believe the Yankees are going to go after JT, only because they're trying to stay under the $210 million luxury tax threshold, aka the salary cap. And going after JT will immediately put them over that limit. There's no doubt about it. He is that valuable of an asset. He's going to command at least $20, $25 million a year. And the Yankees are not going to have the room to be able to do that at this point. Not that they can't, but they're looking to stay under. And I definitely understand that with the free agent crop that's coming after this season. So there definitely is a lot to look forward to with the New York Yankees this year. I think it's huge that they were able to pick up James Taillon on this very, very, very Yankee-friendly deal. I think when you look at what this move does for the New York Yankee rotation, it really helps solidify them. I think that the rotation for the Yankees is likely going to be Garrett Cole, Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon, Jordan Montgomery, and then a battle for the fifth spot, likely won by Deivi Garcia, in my opinion. I don't know that the Yankees are really going to give much of a leash to Domingo Germán, and he's likely going to find himself in the minor leagues for various reasons that we all know and I'm not going to get into. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Yankee fans, baseball fans, let me know what are your thoughts on the Pirates sending Jameson Taillon to the New York Yankees for basically, in my opinion, and no knock on these four prospects, but for basically a nothing package, in my opinion, at this moment. Jameson Taillon is going to likely slot into the Yankees' third spot in the rotation, and to me, this is a very, very good move for the New York Yankees. But again, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As I always say, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as that bell to stay notified of every time we drop new content here on the Laracuente Ledger Network. We have a ton of content coming for you in 2021, so you want to make sure that you stay alerted each and every time by hitting the subscribe and that bell. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you head over to patreon.com, search for the Laracuente Ledger Network, and join us there. We have a ton of exclusive content already on the Patreon account, so make sure you join us there so you can help support us. That's how we're going to continue to be able to bring you this content each and every time it drops. And one last thing before we get out of here, there were rumors and reports that the Yankees were interested in Yasiel Puig. Now, to me, Puig doesn't really fit what the Yankees are looking to do at this moment, and that's simply because they already have a plethora of right-handed hitting outfielders. Puig would just be another number, another player in that mix, in that jumble. But if the Yankees were to find themselves with an injury early in spring training and Puig is still available, I think that's when he becomes more of an opportunity and more of a real fit than where he is right now. I think the Yankees need to give Clint Frazier the opportunity to start every day in left field. And even if they bring back Brett Gardner, which to me is a move that should be made, but the Yankees need to give Clint Frazier that start in left field, Hicks in center, Judge in right, Giancarlo Stanton DHing. So make sure you head over to laracuenteledger.com as there's more in-depth coverage in the article. So make sure you check it out and let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you do. And I will catch you guys when the latest news, notes, and my personal opinions on Major League Baseball have to drop. Peace.